For the People. You can sign up for that on our website. You can pick the denominator, how much you want to donate, or you can just simply make a one-time donation. But we do appreciate you very much. Bill O'Reilly, I was a big fan, loved his books, read a lot of his books, actually, but been watching The O'Reilly Factor for 20 years. I remember when he was announced on the air in the 90s, and I was hooked ever since. Used to like to watch him on another TV show called Inside Edition. That was fun. He's charismatic. Think he gives a great delivery. Think he's got a great mind on him. However, there is some things that concern me about Bill O'Reilly, and I hope, and I've said this repeatedly on several different shows, if you've been following me, that I hope all of this is untrue, because it does blemish a name and an author and his persuasive power, if you will, across the country as a conservative, okay? And that's what I'm most concerned about, is that if any of these allegations are true, and, Fox, from what the New York Times said when they blew the big story, and that's what really ultimately why Fox made the decision to get rid of Bill O'Reilly. It was a scathing story. It talked about Fox doling out millions of dollars, up to $10 million or more, to cover up sexual allegations against Bill O'Reilly. It's a lot of money, folks. It's a lot of money, and it is damning. It's not a good thing, but you spend your career writing books, children's book that just came out, and the Killing series, and he's been doing well. New York Times bestseller. I mean, not a lot of people in this country, around the world, haven't heard of Bill O'Reilly because of his presence on Fox. I mean, it was a great platform for him, but a lot of people that have worked for O'Reilly have said that he's thrown his weight around. And I've worked in broadcasting all my life, and I've seen people throw their weight around. Idiots, if you will. Again, not saying that Bill O'Reilly's these things, but it does happen in media. Now, I've worked in radio, but I've done some television, and I've seen some, what we say, prima donnas, but they're beautiful disasters. I know a lot of creative people, and they are not very nice to be around, but they are beautiful creators. They're magnificent when the camera's 3, 2, 1. You ever watch Ron Burgundy and the Anchorman? I mean, here's a perfect example, okay? I hope O'Reilly, his name gets cleared, but there's just so many over 20 years. This is a terrible blow for Bill O'Reilly, I'd have to say. Again, like to get the news, like the style, like the format. It was great information. And I think that, Bill is right when he says that the left is out to destroy him any way they can. And they found a way. They found information, and God knows who leaked the information, where the information came from. But you think for that many years, he's been protected, he's been shielded. This is all going to go to court. And just a day or so ago, he was on with Glenn Beck. And basically, O'Reilly is saying that he believes he's the victim of an organized hit by liberal activists, but he won't badmouth his former network. He said he's not going to do it. Trying to leave the door open. Again, let me just repeat this. I hope that all of these things that have been said about Mr. O'Reilly, I hope are just not true. Here's Mr. O'Reilly on the Beck program.
This was a hit. And in the weeks to come, we're going to be able to explain some of it. And it has to do with destroying voices that the far left and the organized left-wing cabal doesn't like. So that's the general tone. Now, I can't get specific because there's a lot of legality here. There's going to be an exposition soon, but I can't tell you when, about what exactly this crew that goes in and terrorizes sponsors, that threatens people behind the scenes, that pays people to say things. We're going to name them, and it's going to be a big, big story. The story will be downplayed by the left-wing media, but you guys like you and talk radio and the internet will get it. It's coming. And unfortunately, I was target number one, and it's sad. It's sad for me. It's sad for my family. It's grossly dishonest. I did what I thought I had to do to protect my family, but those days are over. From now on, when I'm attacked, I'm going to take action, mostly legal action. But it's not going to happen anymore to me. But it is out there, and I'll point you to an article that was very, very seldom seen this week about 9 corporations, big corporations, that are now being targeted by organized left-wing groups funded by George Soros because they allegedly are profiting from President Trump's immigration stance. You can Google the article, and it is that gives you your roadmap.
All right, folks, let me just, say that there's the allegations or that of sexual harassment. Maybe cleverly, carefully, because of lawyers have said not to mention this during the interview, but that's why he was canned. There's information that was obtained by the New York Times, and there's been no denial of it, that Fox News has paid out millions of dollars for those that have accused him of sexual harassment at Fox News over a 20-year career. You got to be so careful on jokes or innuendo in the workplace, and it's so easy to succumb to that. You might be a person that's above that type of, reproach, but there's guys that participate in the conversation, and it's harmless to them, but they don't realize it hurts them. And once you get a reputation because people know about it, and I'm just suspecting that maybe there was some people that nothing happened, but because of the track record, because of what was known over there, and people, word travels fast, that somebody may have said something and said, here's a quick way to be able to make a buck off Reilly. I wouldn't be surprised if that hasn't happened. Things have been said about a lot of different people. Now, I should say that, there's been no allegations that he raped anybody, or I haven't heard about the specifics, but other than, speaking about, a person's anatomy, parts, saying things that are sexist in the workplace, but harassing somebody sexually, saying things about them that you just shouldn't say, that's inappropriate. And, in the climate that we're in right now, women for years, unfortunately, have been in a position to where they've had to be quiet. And thanks to women's rights groups, empowering women to stand up for themselves, which I think is the right thing to do, women should not have to put up with that. But things have changed, and there's some people that are old school, and they haven't changed their behavior. And like I say, it's if you have a reputation, it's kind of hard to persuade people that you've changed, and just kind of like a stripes on a zebra. And again, I hope that all these accusations that are made, I hope that is not true. Again, because here's a guy who millions watched every night. Yours truly watched him. Look forward to watching him, learning stuff, and just like the format. It was nice, and everything has changed over at Fox News. I mean, there's so many new programs. You got the 5. It was kind of like a daytime program. There we go, and get the words out. It's a Friday off, excuse me. But it's moved to nighttime. It's like 9 o'clock now. Jesse Waters, part of the 5 now. Just a lot of moving. Maybe the movement will be good, but I'll tell you, the highest rated program on there was Bill O'Reilly. But the advertisers disappeared. They dried up. No money coming in. And what would have happened if they did not fire O'Reilly because of the scathing New York Times story? It would have happened to other shows on the network and could have brought the network down. It was a business decision. They had to make it. I mean, there was no taking it back, and O'Reilly not bad-mouthing his former employer, being that Fox News, maybe trying to keep that door open because he's trying to exonerate himself. I'm not guilty of any of this stuff, and he sounds like he has an ace somewhere. And he's going to prove stuff. He says stuff's going to come out. He's going to be able to prove it. And I hope that he will be able to do so. And he'll be able to get back on television and start writing more books and doing more good. Because I'll tell you, a lot of the books that he researched and were a part of it and wrote and promoted helped a lot of people really understand history in a greater way. And a lot of pieces of history. And his books are still good and still excellent to read. They were New York Times bestsellers, so if you've never read a book of O'Reilly's, pick one up. But we'll be here at For the People monitoring that story, listening to the story. And Newt Gingrich, by the way, on earlier talking about all the happenings and doings in the White House this morning with Martha McCallum, who was actually featured with Bill Hemmer. And actually, Bill Hemmer used to be on CNN, but he's on Fox right now. Here's Newt Gingrich.
I think it's a great strength and a great weakness, both. One of his strengths is that he moves very fast, very aggressively. He's an entrepreneur. He's not a corporate personality. One of his weaknesses, the way I would characterize it, he's like a quarterback who gets ahead of his own offensive line so they can't block for him because he's out in front. This is a perfect example. If they'd taken one day to get their act together, thought it through, and been able to send out all of their press people, been able to send out folks from the Justice Department, had all orchestrated, he would be in a dramatically better position today than he is. But that's not his style. His style is to move, and then if it doesn't quite work, move again, and then move again. So he's constantly in motion, and it has both strengths and weaknesses. It got him to be president, and it got him to be a billionaire. But there are days when I think it doesn't work very well. This couple of days has been one of those. It made it harder for him to get across what he's doing, although in the long run, I think the country will end up deciding he was right.
You got over 99.99% of the press corps that has it out for him. Thank God Sarah Huckabee Sanders handled herself the way she was, but you have to watch it. It was just very interesting to listen to Major Garrett and other correspondents really just try to pin her, and she answered questions about Comey and the Comey firing and, why did he do it on this day and that day and the handling and the attorney general and was it his note? And the bottom line is he was fired. So, Mr. Speaker, break this down for us so we can all understand exactly what's going on. And he has a unique perspective. He's an insider, been part of lots of administrations, so I thought it was good to kind of hear it from him.
The president had very deep doubts about Comey. The fact is, as you know, there's an entire YouTube video of Democrats all calling for Comey to be fired. So there was a bipartisan consensus over the last 6 or 8 months that for a variety of reasons, Comey should not be the director of the FBI. The president, however, waited to get what was in effect a triggering device. And the note from the new Deputy Attorney General was the triggering device. But it wasn't the decision. I think that's what the president's been trying to make clear for the last 24 hours. Comey was not fired by the Deputy Attorney General. Comey was fired by the President of the United States, as, by the way, he's legally allowed to, and as Bill Clinton did in 1993. And so I think what Trump was saying is, look, I've had a long period of distrusting this guy. I did not think he was doing a very good job. I particularly thought that he had mishandled both the Clinton investigation and the Russian investigation. But the moment that they finally fired him did involve having a memo, which if you read the entire letter from Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, it's a pretty devastating letter.
All right. Now, there's this new thing. It's just when you didn't think that any how could it get worse? How could the left not spin this? Now they're likening this to Watergate, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, from the left,